when you start as a village council person in your books?
Are we what?
Do you have those bylaws as to how the council operates?
Yes, we do.
And then can I go on record as asking for a copy of those bylaws?
Troy, could we get her a copy?
Give me your address.
422 Brighton Street. And I would assume when you take a position that you go through those bylaws and you familiarize yourself with those?
Some of us go to extensive training in Lansing, some
Okay.
don't, some of us do.
Okay, so,
I happen to be one of the ones that does.
so you'd be very familiar with what the bylaws say,
I'm-
well versed.
I've been at this for 19 years, I'm
Okay.
pretty up to date on how things work.
Good, thank you.
Amber Bone?
Hello. I would like to say that I am proud of the council members that did not let bias or irresponsibility affect their decision regarding the ending of the employment of Stacy Wilburn. These council members used their good judgment and the information at their disposal to take a responsible stance. They did do their duty to our village despite the opposition that they faced, and I want those 5 members to know that I support them. I would also like to mention my disappointment with those that have disregarded facts and chose to care more about personal opinions than the safety and welfare of our village. I will be able to vote in the next election, and I will remember how each of you voted at the last meeting.
Thank you. Steve Keck?
Hi, Steve Keck. I own the building, 214 West Broad Street. Own a business in town. First of all, I understand the importance and how hard of a job it is that you guys do. I just hope that I don't feel like justice was served in the firing of Chief Wilburn. I feel like she was a great asset to our community, and I think she will be missed. I understand that we don't always know everything that's involved, but that's why we need the transparency. The second item I'd like to address is the June 4th minutes of your village meeting, administrator's report. I'm also on the chamber of Chesaning, and the administrator's report says the chamber inquired about putting a portable sign up at the park to promote the fireworks and summer concert. The council declined this request due to the fact they do not agree with advertising on village property for events that are not village run. I would just like to know if this was something that was voted on, because it doesn't state that in the minutes. And why would you not support something that helps our town?
Well, it's pretty much standard procedure that we don't advertise for events that are on village property.
Was it voted on? Just discussed?
I think it was just a agreement between council members.
I would appreciate a little bit more spirit of cooperation, I would think, in this case, with what the chamber has helped the village do, and I believe that we're all
The
trying
way
to
it
work
was
together.
put to
for
us,
the
it
beautiful-
wasn't a chamber thing that put it there, it was a private individual, and that's why we rejected it.
Fireworks in the summer concert.
Well, that we did reject that also, for the same reason.
I would appreciate some cooperation in the future for the chamber.
All right, we'll discuss it.
According to what Joe, I will speak on that subject because I'm familiar with what they used to do with shovel. And they used to rent the park to shovel it for $1 for the whole week. Shovel would take care of all the responsibilities. We signed a lease agreement. Basically, it was in their possession as a lessee, and they had control of it. And they could do the same thing with the Chamber of Commerce by leasing it for the day or whatever the period of that event is, and at every one of the events that they wanted to have. And it would work perfect. So you might dig back in the files and see if there's any of those agreements laying around, or contact the chamber and see if they might have an agreement laying in their files as well.
Oh, I think you said it too, Steve, we'll have more discussion on it. We'll discuss it. Did Kent leave?
Yes.
Ross Conklin.
President Conklin, 211 Brady Street. I just have some questions, but I also want to thank everyone. I know it's a lot of time and putting yourself out there on the line, and I am thankful for all of you. But I do have some questions, not to be answered now, but I hope that the police oversight committee will consider in the future. And that is, how will you ensure that the next person you hire is focused on the type of community policing that this community is accustomed to, greeting residents, working with educators, building relationships with our youth, teaching lessons, helping, being present and available, and being a part of a team? What procedures and protocol have you put in place, or are you working to put procedures and protocol in place so that our next chief of police is protected from questionable termination? I hope that you will wait to hire a new chief until you have protocol and expectations in place, and in the meantime, please hire an interim chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley English.
Pass. I pass.
Brian? No?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mr. Sislo and Mr. Hoover for taking into consideration how many people were here 2 weeks ago. Although you might have made a decision in meetings as far as the termination of Chief Stacy, I appreciate that you saw how many people had turned out and reconsidered and said, hey, maybe we need to reevaluate this. So I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I never had to reevaluate. Annie Copeland, is she here?
This one.
She's got it.
Steve Raymond.
Yes, three matters. Number one, the Chesaning Speedway. You've made a gallant effort. That sign, everybody knows there's nothing behind those signs. There's no radar. You ought to apply the principle of Occam's razor and put a stop sign down at the park entrance, stop sign down at Pete Road, then Front Road, the intersection. That'll slow them down, I guarantee it. If that doesn't work, put one down, another one down there where Rich Raymond is living. That'll definitely slow them down. It'll save those granddaughters of yours, or those daughters of yours, and might save you a lawsuit potentially yourselves, council people. The second thing, I thought it was abhorrent what you did to that poor woman in firing her. That was beyond you, beyond any council to do that. I don't think she had a fair hearing. I've represented people for 40 years as an attorney. And David, what you did was not right. I can't by myself rectify this. But if I had it in my power, the five of you would be off of here. You'd be gone. You, Joe Sedler.
Remember what I said?
You, Joe Sedler. I remember you crying in the cell, asking for your dad. And the turnkeep said, Joe, just be quiet. We'll go in front of the judge tomorrow morning. Remember that, Joe, in the Shawwest County cell?
You were there with us, weren't you?
You bet I was.
Yeah. And you were hanging on the bars like a monkey, jumping up and down.
At least I wasn't asking for my daddy. At least I wasn't asking for my daddy, Joe.
I'm not sure who you were asking for.
Well, we need a leader, Joe. We don't need somebody who's going to ask for his daddy.
So you figure that the 19 years I put in.
I figure what makes a man is what he shows his true grit in his first 21 years. And you showed yours. And I don't think you have the grit to run this town. So fall on your sword.
And I think your story's wrong, because that wasn't me hanging on the bars crying and all that, it was somebody else.
I'm not going to say who it was. Both you and I know who it was.
Well,
I don't need to sully him, and you don't either.
it wasn't me, and I'm not gonna say who it was. You're the one that's pointing fingers, not me.
Well, I'm glad you're not denying it. At least you have the
Your
balls to say
your
that.
time's up, Steve.
Could you just clarify what outburst means? Is that clapping?
That exactly.
I thought, I know I'm doing it right now, but I thought it was just
That's an
yelling out.
outburst. That's an outburst.
What is it?
This, rule by Robert's rules, this meeting is, I told you it was gonna be controlled, any outburst would get.
I just wondered if clapping was an outburst. I honestly just
It
wanted
is
the
this
rule.
meeting, we're here to do business.
I wasn't being adversarial. I honestly just wanted to know.
Okay, Deb Taylor.
Where'd you get your list from?
You had to sign that?
Oh, well, I'm here for the same reason the rest of them, to fire Miss Stacy. I feel it was wrong, I was shocked to see it in the paper, and not hear nothing, absolutely nothing of what was going on with her until, boom, she was done, gone. That isn't right. You guys didn't tell anybody what the heck should have been happening,
No.
what was going on, why she was being considered for termination. Nobody knew anything about it, you just bam, one meeting and bam, she's gone. That isn't right, Joe. That isn't right. You shouldn't have the authority to do that. There, that's my say.
That's fine, you have your opinion.
You're damn right I do.
Okay, that's it, everybody's done. Melissa.
That's not Christian.
I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight, one way or the other. Bad no matter, your voices are, that's what we need.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
You were all known in to be stewards of this community. I don't believe that the community knows exactly what went on because you can't talk about an employee that's under investigation.
Right, and you never told anybody that you were gonna terminate her, that she was under investigation. Did you say that to anybody, Joe?
You can't. Our attorneys,
You can't say that they're under investigation, but you can just flat out fire her at a meeting? That don't seem right. And from what we've seen on TV and
Yeah,
in the
let's go. It's
papers,
right here in Chesaning. It's all
from what
right
we've
here.
seen on TV and the
You
papers,
can do it here.
can you prove everything that you put in the paper?
You can
And on
speed. You
TV?
can speed down
Can you
French
prove all
Street
that?
at 50 miles an hour. You don't get a ticket. How many tickets have been written? Moving violations this year.
it's over, that's it.
Does that mean meeting's adjourned?
No, that means you can't say anything else.
It means you're done, right?
Committee reports, item 10, infrastructure.
August 7th at 4:30.
Finance administration, no meeting. DDA,
DDA met, sorry, and, hold on. They paid bills of $8,200 and, hold on, I just looked at it. $64, I think, yeah, $8,264. Hope everybody's seen the flower pots that went in. Those were underwritten by our friends in the medical marijuana. They paid for all of that, so.
Great.
Nice. They'll be up and operational. There's a debate going on at the DDA whether we should leave them out in the winter. I'm not too much in favor of leaving them out on the sidewalk.
Pots will break.
Well, they claim they can be there year round, but
No, they're made out
from a
of,
snow removal
They're
But the
perspective,
snow removal for businesses is
yeah,
too
it's
hard.
a pain.
so we'll see if I can win that argument. So at this point, I'm not sure I'm uphill battle.
Troy, I'm sorry, can I address those pots?
That's,
Can I address those pots? They're beautiful, running in a house on Main Street. Are they gonna put any more down, any further? It's really nice that they're right centrally located, but there's nothing beyond east of the traffic light towards the bridge, and that is part of your downtown also. It would be nice if they finished it off.
Well, I think Bobby was here, wasn't she?
He's here.
She's back
Yeah,
there.
she's back there.
I think it was cost that it is why it ended
Right,
where it
we had
was.
enough money, we bought 16 pots and put flowers in them.
But if the marijuana written them, they would think they would put it
Put
in
it on
the
the side, I would let my
Get a few more.
so.
Yeah, let's get a couple more.
I certainly can
Just
take
need
that
four more to
back.
finish it off.
We can have the conversation, so.
Right.
Outside of that, it seems that we've run into some difficulty with the contractor for the radii. The idea is we're gonna replace the brick with the stamped concrete like we did on the corner of Chapman by Shelley's place there. They're concerned about dealing with MDOT, so I volunteered the village to run intermediary, and, you know, we'll authorize the project, and if we need to, work with one of our contractors who works with MDOT all the time, then that's what we're gonna have to do. And the differential is substantial, I mean, between, off the top of my head, I think it's 11,800 versus almost 20,000, so it makes sense for us to provide that. It's not gonna impact us from a liability standpoint, one way or the other. Obviously, we have experience with it, we just did it last year, so I will be getting involved in what do you wanna call it, the corner replacement project. So I'll try and get that in place and get it done yet this year. Outside of that, I think that's about it, right, Bob? Is there anything else I can do?
All right, thanks. Chamber of Commerce?
No meeting.
Planning? No meeting. Airport?
Next month.
Flying was great this weekend, Sunday.
I
Not
worked
pleasing.
it.
Pardon
That
me?
was exhausting.
Well, that was warm.
I served like 600 scoops of eggs.
Congratulations.
They did say they were burning through the eggs. They pulled me aside when I was there Sunday morning. And she said it wasn't like,
I must have had too big of scoops.
it wasn't, just from that morning talking to a few people, they said, it wasn't, cause I'd been there, I'd go a bunch. I saw Matt there and a few other people, they didn't have a big rush at any point. It was just a constant flow of people all morning through breakfast that was non-stop, and they were burning through the food.
I think they said
So-
they were short from last year. I
But-
think they said like 140 plates less than last year, but
So-
it was
but
my
it-
first time volunteering, and that
But
was like.
I'll find out
intense.
eventually, but she said that it was, it went nice because it was a flow, it wasn't, because in previous years, there'd be a giant rush of people at one time.
Right after church.
That caused a backup of people, but this year it worked out well, and it was nice and cool in the morning. It wasn't hot right away, so the only
Yeah.
problem when I got there was my wife wanted to eat outside, and it didn't dawn on her that the helicopter was landing there. It created an issue with your napkins or a cup, which may have emptied right away, but it was still fun because they had helicopter rides this year to go with the plane rides, so. Overall, it was nice. The tin can campers were really cool if anybody got out there to see them. But I'll end up with more information eventually here. But it seemed really nice. But yeah, people were saying they were handing out food. Anybody that was serving, I felt bad as the morning went on. 'Cause
It
got
was my
hotter and
first
hotter.
time dealing with the airport at all in the 40 years that I've lived in this town, and I didn't realize how amazing it actually was. And I wish I would have gotten involved a little bit quicker than this, but everybody was just kind and helpful, and the Cubs and the Boy Scouts, we had both of them involved, and they just absolutely loved it. It was something that was easy, and I got people to see that we're present, we're here in Chesaning, so
Yeah.
it was a nice.
Gliders, the
way
models,
to get us
everything is
involved.
really cool out there. It's a really neat event.
I have a comment on that event. Actually, it's wonderful. We go every year. I live down 722 Broad Street. I think it's great. There's a sign there on the corner when you come to town, pancake breakfast, Dawn Patrol. Is that not on Village Property on the corner? Is that a village event?
Where at?
I mean,
Well,
it's great. It's there.
I don't remember.
I love the advertising, but I don't.
Where at?
The truth about the sign is they go out and stick those signs out. That breaks the DOT rules. That has nothing to do with the village. So it's like the signs that the schools put out for the kids. The DOT can come and pull those signs out. It's the same rule. So when they put out the signs to advertise for that breakfast, they can come,
Is it village property?
it doesn't matter.
Not the
So,
state highway.
so,
It's,
no offense,
yeah,
but
where
it's
they
not
put
gonna
those
happen.
signs, the state highway, they can come and pull those signs down.
State highway is village property.
Right, it's not village property, so it's just like,
I didn't know if that's.
right, they know that they can lose those signs, that the DOT can come and see that sign and rip it down.
Is that your own?
So they put it out there at their own risk. They know that when they put those signs out. So it's like when the signs go up to advertise for the kids going to state and stuff.
I know, and that does have the right of way. No, I want
Right,
it to go all the
right,
time.
you want them up, but it's at their, they know it's at their own risk. They put it up, if somebody with a bug up their butt from the state sees it, they can yank it down and toss it.
Is that the same with a car show, shutting the roads down? Having
That's a
signs up?
permit. They got a
Is
permit.
That's
That's
permit, that's
that's
totally
fine.
different, but
Okay. I was
it's
just
like,
wondering, 'cause there's signs up for the car show.
I mean, technically, when you see those signs that advertise football players or the kids going to state and all that
Right.
stuff, yeah, those aren't supposed to be up either,
Gotcha.
so.
All those
You
Chesaning
take-
Indian
right,
signs going down
yeah.
the road.
Every
Yeah.
year, the MDOT engineer calls me to tell me to take them
MDOT,
out, I'm not
MDOT,
doing it, so.
yeah.
Go
So,
ahead, I'll take them out. if you
when
want.
they put up the pancake breakfast signs, they know, and they kind of put them up at the last second, because they know that someone from MDOT might see it and they can come and rip it down.
I don't know, as a citizen myself, living in 450 North, I think it's a great idea, any event that runs through this town gets promoted, to be honest with you, because
Right, but
It's
it's
all
a state
here for the
highway, so
community,
the
so-
problem is you're taking your chances when you put the signs up. And that's the issue with MDOT, unfortunately.
The issue with the sign at the park, we thought it'd be better if it was on the highways and that's why we put it at the fire department on our sign. So people coming in, they could see it more. The only traffic that goes down there is the one that goes in and out of the park or once a week or
There's
twice
actually
a
a
week.
flea market at the fairgrounds, that's what we were trying to catch that traffic going, that there was a lot of traffic on that road set. Guess what, like, you support village events, what events does the village put on that they advertise for? And I don't know, I mean, I know Kiwanis does stuff for it, a lot of groups do, but is there a village event?
I know my idea thought it would've been better to be out on the highway and that so people could see it more. So,
Part of the issue with those signs is they don't come to us and ask for permission, they just stick them there.
Yeah, but we did ask.
You know, we need to know what's where, so if somebody asks.
You were given permission, exact spot, that's what, again, like I said, so you're saying that you only support village events, what are the village events? I mean, I
Well,
don't know,
village
I'm just
itself
being
doesn't put
curious.
on any events, you guys do.
That's why they're asking for support. Right, because in the minutes it says you will advertise for village events, that's why I was curious. What the village meant.
Right. Like I said, we'll have more discussion on it. We'll get it worked out. All right, let's move on. Item G, police committee did not have a meeting. Fire board?
fire board, we had 5 runs since the last meeting. 2 of them were structure fires. 1 was ours, and 1 was Tri-Township. We assisted with them. The one on Ferdin Road, it was right after, I take that back, it was out there, Maple Grove on Lincoln Road. And they wasn't back an hour, and they had to go back on the Ferdin Road one. And come to find out, it was Jim Steele's house. He was on the fire department for 20 years and serves as a police officer in town, and found out the next day he was in Hurley Hospital in critical condition. He had cyanide poisoning because of the fumes that came off the couch that was on fire.
Oh, my goodness.
I called Scott today to see how he's doing. He's out of critical care. He's still in the hospital. We're gonna they talked about doing a fundraiser for Jim. We haven't got that far yet, because we had training last night. The training went a little bit different than what we thought. The training last night was firefighter safety, water safety survival. Mr. Drexler down in South Main, down by the Baptist church, let us use this pool. And if somebody wants to see some of the pictures, and I got them on my camera, they was jumping in with full gear on, with air packs and that. A couple years ago, I don't know if you guys remember when Leo Gross's house burned on Sharon Road. 2 of them was walking and they thought the ground felt funny, and because of the smoke, they was walking on top of the pool cover.
Oh no.
So, and just like if you're inside of a house, and you know how much water you put on a house, and if the floor is collapsed and the basement's full of water, this was part of the training to help save them, what to do and everything else last night. And it was really good. We had a lot of, I think everyone except for one did it. The brush tin, I told you before that the engine was being rebuilt. Well, they got it rebuilt, and brush tin's out of service right now for another week. We're trying to get it done before the fall comes because of the fires we had in the fall. So Scott and Ryan McPherson and his sons are doing that. That's supposed to be done by this weekend. The hot water heater up there, the building was 12 years old. It's a 100-gallon tank, and just for the parts, a couple parts was $600 and some. So instead of doing the whole 100-gallon boiler, we're going to go to the man system for the bathrooms and for the kitchen, which would save us a lot of money on electrical too. We want to say too that being hot out, stay cool, drink a lot of water. Even the firemen's got to drink a bottle of water before they get out of the trucks now because of the heat. Out of those two runs we had 2 full arrests that we had to assist MMR with. One was a DOA and the other one did make it, I heard. So, but the next fire board meeting is February 16th. And just for when I talked about the ISO ratings for the fire insurance around town, we haven't heard nothing back on that yet. But all the hydrants was tested, and by the looping of the water system that we did, they said that we could move from 5 to 4, which is 4 is a better rating than 5. So hopefully we get that good rating.
Lowers home insurance.
Yeah, that your home insurance and business insurance for the fire protection should go down. It passes to 4. So keep your fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
That it?
Yep.
Task force next meeting, 23rd, 7:30 a.m. right here. Administrator's report?
I guess the only other thing I have to add that isn't in there, as you know, since I've been here, trying to work on implementing new technology. One of the things that we, not to bring up a bad name, but I tried with Honeywell, that didn't go well, pun intended, was the idea of putting in either radio read or cellular read meters. Joe Treisel and I have been talking with a company that's called SLC Meter Company. They use Verizon technology, and I would never advocate that we, come up with $450,000 and convert everything at once. So we've been looking at, is there a way for us to implement this strategy and start perhaps like peeling away one of the routes, so we can take, it's literally a week of somebody's time to go out and read those meters. And we have 4 guys that are doing it, so each route is taking a week of somebody's time out, going around to read the meters. So it would be a significant savings for us in terms of our ability to get other work done. And where we're at is, they've got like a test program where we would pay $2,300. We work off their software at that point. They provide us with 10 meters, and then we can test the system, see what we like, we don't like, whatever. And at the end of 4 months, we can make a decision whether we want to proceed with some level of purchase. The level of purchase may only be the $5,800 for the software, and we keep the 10 meters, and we just go on and replace meters at our own pace. I would really like to recommend to council that we undertake this project, at least spend the $2,300 out of the water fund, which we have in capital improvement. Because I think, number one, we have residential and commercial clients who would absolutely love this technology. Because not only is it converts to, from units to gallons, so you can tell exactly how many, tenths of a gallon, to be frank with you, how many gallons you're using. App on a phone, they can, if they're gone, they can monitor their own water usage. If there are issues, we can tell exactly when it happened, down to the minute, and how long it lasted. It just makes sense. not only from a cost saving standpoint, but just, I listened to the girls up front, Lisa can attest to this, struggle with trying to explain to people the variations that they have in their water bill, and it's all based on, whether you use 1,000 gallons or not, it gets cumbersome. So I think there are a number of benefits to this, operationally, financially, from a PR standpoint, that it just simply makes sense for us to, that's small of an investment to get started. And, worst case scenario, we don't like this and we spend $2,300 to find out that's not the way we wanna go. It's literally, meter reading would be, Lisa's our utility billing clerk, so Lisa would push a button on the computer, it would remotely read all of those meters, download it, and we'd have the DPW only going out to where we had errors. And that's, plus or minus 1% to 2%, so to radically alter the time commitment that we made to meter reading, and I think it would make the billing cycle much more understandable to people in terms of the gallons they use, so.
Does that $2,300 apply, if we start doing that, does that apply to the purchasing meters, or we keep what we get?
We'd keep the meters.
The 10 meters.
We'd have to buy the software, obviously, because we're using their software
To test it.
during that testing phase.
And is that a purchase, or is it a month-to-month software as a service?
It's a purchase. $5,800 to purchase the software, have it on our machine, we own it. In that copy or license, or however you want to characterize it, so. I went through and just did some rough calculations, to spread roughly we have about 1,100 meters, somewhere in that area. To spread it over 5 years, if you spend about $75,000 a year to completely redo. I think that we would be able to take some money out of capital improvement and underwrite that and get a kickstart, and take that number down dramatically. I'd be concerned about committing to something where we're taking $75,000 out a year, just simply because we have other operational issues. But if we could take 100, 150 out of capital improvement, get a jump start on it, get that number down to $40,000, $50,000 a year, I feel much more comfortable being able to commit to you that we'd be able to finance that without raising rates to everybody, so.
Well, and honestly, going forward, if we don't have to have people reading meters, we can keep that static rate for a longer period.
Exactly, the cost to physically get those numbers is dramatically different. However much time it takes her to push a button and read the report is what it took, our DPW basically a whole month of one person, over 4 weeks.
Right.
To go out and do that, so I think it just simply makes sense for us to move in that direction.
Will that be compatible, with the fuse pit?
I'm sorry?
Is it-
With a pit meter?
Yeah, the pit meters?
Yeah, yep. And if we can't put in one of their meters, they have an adapter to go on the meters that we currently use, so you accomplish the same thing. Now, in that case, you won't be able to go over gallonage, because the meters aren't calibrated that way, but, those are an isolated incident. What do we have, 120, 130 in the whole village?
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's what I'm working on. I didn't put it in my report, so I'll have something to you by the next meeting in terms of a proposal for the initial request, and then